Hi, everybody. My name is Jason Vlad, and I'm an instructional designer and master trainer here at TechSmith. And I'm joined by my friend and cohort, Troy Stein, our Vice President of Customer Advocacy. We actually both work with the Customer Advocacy team to bring you learning content, webinars, documentation, help articles, everything to help you become a better user of our software. And we want to welcome you for being brand new users to Camtasia, or at least brand new returning users to the version you have today. There's a couple things we're going to go over real quick for housekeeping, and then we'll get right into the content. But first and foremost, number one question. Hey, Jason, is this going to be recorded?
Yes.
The answer is yes. Yes, it will be recorded, and you will get a recording within about 24 hours, along with a couple of links to some goodies to help you out throughout your learning process as well. One of those goodies is a Jumpstart PDF. So Troy has taken a meticulous look at the processes he's going to share today, and the PDF that we're going to send along with the recording tomorrow expands on a lot of the ideas he's going to share today. So don't forget, if we go too fast or the pacing's not quite right for you, you can take that recording, play it back, utilize it, watch it as many times as you possibly want. At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand it over to Troy, who's going to get us started with a few pieces of information and an opportunity to engage with us. So Troy, go ahead and take it away.
All right. You see my screen okay?
Yes, I do. You are in presentation mode as we speak.
Cool. Okay. So what we're trying to accomplish today is to orient ourselves within Camtasia. It's a fantastic tool. I hope my enthusiasm for it doesn't make me go too fast, because I know I can get excited. So here's the thing about Camtasia. It's got a lot of tools over here, and each of these tools have options, and that can sometimes feel like a lot. So what we're going to focus on today is how we can focus on 5 small areas of the product, starting with the recorder, and then we'll go into editing on the timeline, adding a call out to focus our attention, and then adding a library or using parts of the library to add an intro, and then exporting the MP4. So that's what we're going to be covering today in this process. But to get started, we need to orient ourselves. I'm going to ask you some questions, but the first question is a really simple question, just so that we know how to use this tool. If you'd be so kind, grab your phone or go to slido.com and take a screenshot or a picture of that QR code. And again, this is just to be able to test to make sure we're comfortable using this tool. Let us know what's in your cup this morning. You got coffee, tea, soda, water, something else? Feel free to put that in there. Just so, again, this is a test of the technology, because in a second, we have some much more important questions than this one. Looks like we got some coffee drinkers out there. Got 9 out of the 29, 11. Keep it coming, folks. Keep it coming. Coffee seems to be the thing of the day. Keep it coming. Ooh, 50-50. Do we have a winner? Anyone? All right, we're going to call it at 15. Water is the winner. Cool. So now to the bigger questions. What operating system are you on? Let us know that. $11 out of them. Keep it coming. Good deal.
We do have a vote for Windows in the Q&A as well, so tweak that.
All right, thank you.
Slightly.
Thank you. Sounds good. All right, let's go to, I think this may be the last one. What's your experience with Camtasia like? All right, cool. Then you're in the right place, folks. Absolutely in the right place. Mark says been using it for a couple months. It's totally fine. We are going to be focused on, even if you're not a first-time user, it's often the case that sometimes you get to a product or a tool or something, and you never really lean into it enough to get past that beginner phase and into intermediate. So we're hoping to get you there. I guess this is the last question. What one thing would make this webinar worth it today? Freeform this one. What would be the thing that you'd be like, yeah, I'm really glad I came because they showed me X, or they taught me, or they answered a certain question. What do you got? Mark's asking what's new in Camtasia 2022. Great question, Mark. There is a whole webinar about that. JB can put a link to that. There is no fault at all in jumping off of a webinar. As we call it, vote with your feet, right? So if this isn't the right thing for you, we're not going to go deep into what's new in 22. We're just going to keep it really simple. JB, would you mind sending a link to that, to the 22 webinar?
Yeah, I'm going to put it in even though we have the chat disabled, I can post to it. So that link for the what's new is the link that's in there right now.
Cool. Thank you. All right. I'm going from the bottom up, not very techy, just need basics. Great. You're in the right place. Always, I can start with right now. I'm a Mac user. Everything I'm going to show you is Mac and Windows. It's the same on Mac and Windows. Looking forward to learning to incorporate quizzes. Quizzes is not going to be one of those things that we're going to do today, but we do have a video about using quizzes. Getting started, confidence to dive in. Yes, that's absolutely what we're doing. Gain confidence to make a basic video. Yep, that's what we're here. How to use it effectively. Absolutely. Learn to edit out the noise and pauses. I will show you where to do that. And details to make better videos, music transitions, callouts, etc. We can get part way there. And our goal, folks, is to be able to answer a lot of your questions. If you do have questions throughout, be so kind as to put them in the Q&A. And then Jason will collect them. And after about 25 minutes of instruction and demonstration, we'll pause, and then we'll turn it over to you guys to say, okay, these seem to be the big questions. Which ones do you want us to answer first? Sound fair?
Yeah, and I really am doing that. I've just started curating some questions. I've got the slide updating as we speak. So definitely
Awesome.
Put the time into those Q&As.
Cool. All right, it is time. Now, Camtasia video recording is most appropriate when something is complex. If it's simple, a screenshot will suffice. That's what Snagit's for. If it's complex, walk them through it with a video. We do not make Excel, but you can tell in working in Excel, sometimes things get a little bit complicated. So I'm going to walk you through a scenario of calculating a car loan. Let's just use that as a simple example. Camtasia, this is what it is, has tools over here on the left-hand side. It's got a timeline where we'll edit the video. This is called the playhead. The canvas, this is where you do your Michelangelo painting. This is where you'll see the preview of what's going on. And then depending on what's on the timeline, the properties of that will be selected. So if it's an image, you'll see the size of it. Or if it's an audio file, you'll see the volume levels, etc. Sound good so far? All right, let's jump in. Recorder is where we're going first. All right. So recorder's going to show up. My suggestion, if you're doing your very first recording, is to record full screen or 1080p, either or. Okay. Microphone, if you happen to have a USB microphone, use that. What you're going to hear now, what you hear right now is Zoom is using my USB microphone, which means that Camtasia is just going to get the regular built-in microphone. Suffice it to say, if you have a USB microphone, connected. I'm doing a little bit of workaround because Zoom and Camtasia I want to make sure they each get their own microphone. Okay. And then I hit start. All right, if you're going to make oops, hold on. All right, I do that when I made a mistake. Welcome, everybody. If you're going to calculate the payment structure for a car loan, you type in equals and then PMT and then an open parentheses. And the first thing you'll see down here is you'll see this little help. From here, we're going to click on the first item, which is the annual rate, and then a comma, and then I could go on and on and on. And I'll hit stop. By the way, that recorder bar up there does not actually get recorded. And you'll notice that I had some mistakes in here. Let's listen to it. Hold on. I do that when I made a mistake. Okay. All right. So this is called, in fact, let me bring this up just so you can see this a little bit more. You can adjust the height of the tracks a little bit by grabbing that. But you'll see here the spikes where I made a clap around my microphone. Always recommend clapping whenever there's a mistake. But you can see, hopefully, down here, that little spike there. So let's talk about trimming and making edits. Grab the edge. By the way, I'm doing this not so that you can follow along with me, just so that you can get a good feel, get the confidence. The document that I'm sending you goes into the details on all of this, and the recording will be helpful. But by grabbing the edge, I can bring this in. I can see that little spike over there, and I'll bring it into about here. And I can move my video up and down my timeline as I wish. Okay. Also, you'll recall somewhere at the end, I was saying some silly stuff. Right, and then a comma, and then I could go on and on and on. All right, so that part about going on and on and on, we'll grab the edge of that as well, and we'll bring that in. If there was a part that I need to cut out of the middle, maybe I did make a mistake with moving my playhead to a specific selection, I can go in here and hit split. And I can move it down to where the end of that mistake was made. And I can split again. And if I want to, I hit delete. Okay. There is another option, one last option for making the edits, which is this playhead moves around, right? If you really wanted to, you could also make a selection and grab the edge, the red or the green part of that playhead, and make that selection, and also hit delete.
One of my favorite tools in Camtasia, to be honest, the selection tool.
Cool. We call these the Italian underpants. And if you're ever in a selected state where you're moving things back and forward, by the way, you don't have to, right? You don't have to use the Italian underpants. You can just make splits and hit delete, and you're good to go. Okay. All right. Also, by the way, if you've made a cut, guess what? It's still there. You can just drag it back out to where it was before. Okay, so we've learned how to cut some pieces out of it. And now, as you might imagine, there are in video some things that are more important. And just like in a movie, if there's an important character, you sometimes do a close-up of that important character. So we're going to do our close-up. Once I've chosen, I said, about now would probably be a good idea for me to sort of focus on here, because I don't really need all of this space. That's not doing anything for my people that are watching. So I move my playhead to a part in the video, and I hit Shift A. This is a hotkey, works on Mac and Windows. Okay. And it's an animation. So it's going to go from some state over here to some state over here. And the state that we're going to go into is we're going to go to the properties panel over here, and we're going to scale it up. Okay. It's scaling according to the center of that video. The center is represented by that little circle over there, which is fine. All I need to do is move it over there. Okay. So my animation goes and looks like this. The payment. There we go. Okay. I can move that animation to come later in the video or sooner in the video. I can also grab the edge of that video, or that edge of that animation, and make my animation a slower animation or a really fast animation, either one. Finally, let's say at the end that now that I'm near the end of my video, maybe I want to zoom out. One more time, Shift A to add a custom animation, and I can reset my position by just going reset and reset and I'll just type in 100% to the normal zoom level, and I've now zoomed back out. Okay, cool. So we've been able to make some adjustments. We've been able to zoom, and this is good, but we need to be able to pay attention to something. And particularly, I think I said, this little box down here is important. So sometimes you want to be able to call attention to things that are important. On the left side, there's something called annotations. We're going to click on it. And there are lots of annotations to choose from. These are just the basic ones. You can, in fact, click and see all of them. I'm going to go to one other down over here to the right, and it's this one, and it's called Sketch Motion. I'll choose this square, and I'm going to put, or rectangle, I guess is probably a better way of saying it. And you'd be wise to say, cool, Troy, you just added something invisible to the timeline. I don't get it. Why the heck would you do that? What you'll see over here is you'll see on the timeline that this got started, but the playhead is at the very beginning. And as you move along, you realize, oh, it animates. Okay, I get it. And just like you can with a video, you might think, oh, wait, hold on, that's not so good. I don't need it on there when it's zooming out. So we'll just grab the edge of that and we'll drag it in. So it's on, and then it goes away, and then we zoom out. Not bad. Over here on the right side are properties. Properties that allow you to change the thickness of the line. Also, how fast it draws on or off. Maybe you want it to draw a little bit slower. And then a different color. Let's go with something a little bit, you know what? Let's go with the darker green. Something like that. Okay. So here we go. Great. Now we've added a sketch motion. And now I said that we're not going to go into too much into Camtasia 2022, but I would like to show you one place that you might want to go to if you're on Camtasia 2022, and it is in the Camtasia 2022 library. So library, Camtasia 2022, there's something called callouts over here. And if you wanted to sort of go next level, there's something called indicator with text. And we'll grab two fields, and I'll grab this one from MCII 002. Let me put this on the timeline over here. And it does then allow me to place this over here. But I can change, and I can change some things here, right? I can, for example, change the text color. Let me show you. There's this little font icon over here. I changed that, and I'm going to go to a different color here. There we go. Oops, hold on. Did I change that? JV, am I doing something? Oh, I chose the wrong thing. There we go. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. So we got that. So it comes and it draws on, and I can click that. And in fact, maybe I'm even going to change the color. So I've got this coming on like that. And if I wanted to change the text, this is in the properties window over here. I can change this to key, let's say key equation. And then more text, etc. And if I want to change the color of that one, let's just go to a darker color and a slightly bigger font, right? So that's that's one other place where you can find some pretty cool animated callouts as well. Okay, so we have done two things already, actually three. We've done the recording, we've trimmed it up on the timeline, we've added some animations on the timeline, and we've added some fairly nicely animated callouts to draw attention. The callouts were in the annotation section. I happen to use one called a sketch motion. And then we also went to the library to grab one other just in case. Fair enough. JB, let me pause for a second and just ask, like, anything that you want to add a color commentary to, or maybe clarify in case I went too fast, or maybe I skipped something that I should have covered.
Well, I think you're covering it pretty good, Troy. The one thing I always want to mention is when Troy went into that library and pulled that asset out, there are well over 1,000 assets in this library. They come standard with your installation of Camtasia 2022. They are royalty free, which means use them with the great power that they come with, right? You can put them in a video right now, use them right now. You don't have to ask permission or anything like that. And be sure, Troy was showing you all those capabilities of the properties panel, and he's just scratching the surface. The properties panel allows for tremendous customization to many different aspects of Camtasia. So make sure you explore that. And if you need it out of the way, you can just click that little properties button in the right and give yourself a little bit more real estate, but you can always bring it back. There's something I always want to bring up, because the properties panel is so powerful.
Great call.
Yeah, about the only question that's come in that we're not holding for later is, could you just do one more quick review of that panning and zooming in, because that's a pretty powerful tool that Rosanna's asking about.
Yeah, so let's just get rid of them and we'll start over again. So we've got a call out, we've got a video. My inclination is to do things in pairs. That means I generally am going to like zoom in, and then I'm generally going to zoom out at some point, right? So I'll put on the timeline a Shift A to put my first one. I'm not even going to do anything at this point. And then I'll move later down onto the timeline and Shift A again. Moving my playhead back to the first one, this is where I zoom in. With the video itself selected, you can kind of see this orange border around it. And I'll go and I'll scale up. To move it around, there is this circle in the middle of the video. That's sort of my anchor, if you will, or the center. And I can then grab and move it. So I've changed the properties. This little red dot is telling me, yeah, this is after this, things change. Before this is the old stuff. Now that red dot is telling me this is what's changed. And this one automatically goes back out because I haven't changed this property at all. Now, if I want to, I could, right? Like I've created one zoom here and this one zooms out. I could go even further out like that. Or I could go the opposite direction and go even closer in. And it's okay. In fact, it's even recommended. Make it simple for people. If they don't need to see a bunch of stuff, don't force them to see a bunch of stuff. And so you've got that here, and then you're going even closer in. And that's fine. It grabs and keeps people's attention. Okay, cool. Somebody asked, why aren't you showing the zoom tab? For me, if you learn Shift A, you can do anything with Shift A, and you can manually move things around. And it is easier, it's more flexible, and it's just one hotkey, folks. That's all it is. Okay. But if you needed to like zoom back out, you're like, oh my gosh, I think I'm far too zoomed in. Shift A is your friend. We'll add one more down here on the timeline. That's cool. And then reset back to 100%, and you're back to home again.
Can I make mention of it? Because so I think you're asking, Mark was mentioning, like, this is a new way for zooming and panning. I always use the zoom and pan tab. So as a secondary approach, the way Troy is showing you how to use an animation is kind of like showing you how to use sugar. Sugar can go into so many things. You know what it tastes like, you know what it looks like, but if you learn how to use sugar, you can apply it a ton of different ways.
Yeah.
Using an animation or a custom animation, as Troy has shown, you can do millions of things with it. Now, zoom and pan does exist in the Windows side. It's underneath the animations, and we actually have tutorials on all that, and I'm happy to share that.
Yep.
But you learn how to use a custom animation, and you can bend Camtasia to your will.
Cool. All right. Now, somebody did ask at the beginning, hey, what about music? Can we add music? That's where the library comes in. Under the audio tab, you can just grab one of these down, and let me just move a couple things out of the way here for a second. And I can grab and put that on the timeline. Just like any video, I can trim it. Also, I can add, you can go into the audio effects. If you don't see audio effects, it's under the more, and you'll see audio effects, and then you can drag like a fade in and a fade out. But we won't go too much into the music at all today. Last thing I will suggest is if you do have voice and you do have music, I would simply click on here and bring the gain to about, I would start at around 15%. Whoops, hold on. Sorry about that. Wrong keyboard. 15%. That brings the music down so you can hear the voice and you can hear a little bit of music in the background. All right, enough on music. Let's go back to our schedule, so to speak. And we now have a video. Let's just pretend that this is just right. I'll probably get rid of one of those animations there, and I'll put this call. By the way, in case you're wondering, right, you recall that I added, one animation over here. Right now it sits all on its own because it's not sitting on top. But if I bring it up onto track 2, it now sits on top of this video, right? So this is what we call the Z order. What's on top of the video is the call out, which is why you can't see certain letters in the video over here because the call out's on top. Okay, so let's say that we've got that just right, maybe something like that. And now we need to add an introduction. Here's what I recommend. In the library, there is an option down below here called titles. And we're going to add a title here in a second. We're going to use this one called big motion brackets, but we need to make some space for it on the timeline. Like an intro is supposed to be at the beginning, right? So where are we going to put it? Well, remember our old friend, the playhead right here. I'm going to slide him all the way to the left, to the very beginning. And this is key. I'm going to hold down the shift key, holding down the shift key and clicking on the playhead. I'm clicking inside that gray space. I'm able to move it down the timeline. Now, if I hold on to shift key, I can also go backwards. So I can move everything backwards and forwards. Okay. So now that I've got some space for my intro, great. I'm going to go and drag down my big motion brackets right here. And as Jason pointed out, the properties are your friend over here. I don't need that text, but I'm going to say, let's capitalize it, calculating car loans. Okay. Color, it's not, I don't want that color. I could go in and choose any color that I want. Let's just go, I think we had a darker green before, something like that. If you haven't done so already, you can create a theme that uses your color palettes. That is available under managed themes. That will, time permitting, we'll talk about that. Okay, but what we've got here, we've got that intro. It animates a little bit and then it closes, and we're good to go. Except that there's a gap, right? Now, if you were paying attention a moment ago, we hold down the shift key and we drag the video clips back. So nice little exit there. Okay, cool. That's the start. We're going to go one more and we're just going to make an outro. Watch this. I'm going to grab it from the library again, the same one. So we got some consistent branding. I bring it over here. And this time we're going to say, learn more at www.company.com, and we'll get the color branding again in here, something like that. Also, that font looks a little bit tight in there, so we're going to shrink down the fonts just a little bit. There we go. Give ourselves a little bit more room. But now we need some branding, right? We ought to put our logo on here somewhere. So cool, no problem. How do we add it? We showed you how to record, but you probably should know that you can go and add in the media bin or to any project, anything, practically anything, an image, a font, a logo, a recording from Zoom, a PowerPoint file. You can import it all. I'm going to go to import media. And in one of my folders over here, not that folder. I've got some, I think it's called, was it under icons? Nope, not that one. Hold on. I think it's called a folder called logos. There we go. And I've got a logo here called concentric. Okay. I'll grab that logo down and I'll put it on here. So this goes away. Oh, we'll time it just a little bit. This goes away and that shows up, except that's not quite perfect, right? So how do we animate something that is, I mean, this is pretty static, right? It just sits there. There is a quick animation tool called behaviors on the left-hand side. And under behaviors, there's lots of options. You can kind of drag your cursor across it to see how they look. And we're going to use one down here called scale. I drag it onto my clip here and we'll see what it looks like. Okay. What you can do now, if I was really going to do this for real, I wouldn't use green. I would use the colors of my logo. So I go from here and it looks like that, right? So I think we've made something pretty good, to be honest, right? That looks pretty nice. We've used some parts of the library. We use a title from the library. We dragged down our own logo. We animated it using a behavior. Now it's just time to export this thing. And what I recommend 95 times out of 100 is local file, MP4. We get the compression right. You give it a name, you choose the place. If anybody is old enough as I am to remember an MP3 player, MP3 was good audio quality, small file size, works everywhere. That's what MP4 is, but for video. So you'll get everything that you need. You don't have to worry about any settings. Just hit export. You're going to get that MP4 file, and then you can make hay with it. All right, JV, we are at time where we said we would pause and ask or take a look at the questions that have come in. So let's go to the slideshow and tell me what we got here, sir. Talk me through this.
Bob, but a few people were commenting on the crispness of your audio quality. So they wanted to talk about, they're using a USB mic, but is there any recommendations or guidance about using, removing background noise, better audio recording, just in general, using Camtasia?
Cool.
Barry is asking, he does a lot of recording PowerPoint presentations using PowerPoint plus Camtasia and then putting it up to YouTube, but we end up with some black boxes. We're trying to figure out if there's scaling issues. So could you talk a little bit when you're exporting about record, edit, sharing dimensions maybe so that people can avoid those black boxes? And then Lou was asking, generally speaking, when you were making subtle adjustments on the timeline, can you nudge that playhead back and forth using the arrow keys? I'm like, well, you can with the period and comma, but maybe it might be a good opportunity to talk about keyboard shortcuts and then showing those customization capabilities.
Cool. Which one do you want to take, JV?
Let's talk. I'll take Lou's right at the, well, no, I'll take Barry's. I'll take Barry's. That's one I deal with a lot.
Cool. Let me take
go ahead. Yeah. Long story short, the general practice is to record, edit, and share your videos at the same dimensions. Video doesn't scale well larger. So if anybody remembers pulling an image off the internet and then trying to blow it up bigger and it looks all pixelated and gross, that's because it's a finite fixed size. Same with video. If I record something in a small section of my screen and then try and scale it up and make it bigger, it's going to rasterize or get pixelated and gross and fuzzy. So if I record at 1080p, or when Troy did his, he recorded at full screen, he'll edit in Camtasia at the same dimensions. In fact, Camtasia will recognize the dimensions of your recording and have you edit at that. Typically, the default is 1080p. And then I would produce or render that MP4 out, that video, share it outside of Camtasia at 1080p. If I did it all at 720, the smaller version, and then rendered it at 1080, it would look okay, but that is scaling up in size. So you always want to either record, edit, and share all at the same dimensions, or record, edit, and share at a slightly smaller than what you started. So you always end up with the most crisp recording possible.
So these dimensions here are 1920 by 1080, which is the same as what's called 1080p. It's full screen for most, but that's a good dimension, right, for the recording. And then when you come into Camtasia, Camtasia will usually try to create a project that is also 1080p, or at least the size of your recording. By default, it will try to match the size of your recording. So you want to record, edit, and produce at the same dimensions. That's key. Okay. But if you keep the recording, edit, and the project settings, then when you go to export, it will also do those same dimensions. Okay. JV, the first question, sorry, mate. The first question that we had was, is there a way to remove background noise? There is. So let me go to Camtasia and let me do a quick recording over here. If you'll allow me, I'll just add one down over here. And there is a tool that we have called voice narration. So let's just use that. And you probably can't see it, but now you can. I have a fan. A fan noise is not awesome, but I'm going to record with that fan noise. And also, it's not going to be the best microphone in the world because my best one is what I'm giving to you right now over Zoom. Camtasia is just going to record the microphone on the laptop. But let's do a little recording here. All right, everybody, this is a test of Camtasia. Thanks for watching. Let's see what we can do. And it's going to take that recording. You'll notice on that timeline, you can see the of the fan here. There was a reason that I paused, because in Camtasia, in this tool over here called Audio Effects, I can bring down the noise removal and I can drag it onto here. It is going to be looking for it's going to be looking for a part of the video that is only background noise, and I gave it only background noise at the beginning, and that's going to help it to learn what that sounds like. But I can now play this back, and I can change my sensitivity to be, let's say, -10%, about 20, and I can click on Analyze, and it's going to begin to listen to it, and it might sound okay. I might try to make the let's make it even more sensitive. Let's see how that one plays out. That worked quite well. Now, sometimes it does so well, but it can make my voice sound warbly, like I'm talking in a can.
Yep.
All right, everybody, this is a test of Cam. Okay. Considering a bad recording experience where I had my fan right next to me, that was not bad. And you can play with those settings. If you need to go way deeper, we have an option to edit the audio in a tool we have called Audiate, and it has world-class tools for audio. Both it does world-class speech to text, it has world-class noise removal, compression, takes out the pops that sometimes come on a microphone. Audiate is your friend there. Also helps with the captioning too, by the way, if you need to do that. JV, there was another question. Yeah, go ahead, JV.
Yep. So there's another question. Then I added two more that have come in. This one is for Lou. Can we talk just real quick about keyboard shortcuts and the customization?
Right. Okay. So nudging. There is a nudge here. Like you can go nudge with the period and the comma. So let's say that I hit on my keyboard, the period key goes one frame at a time, right? Or backwards. The other thing is you've got these tools here, which will take you to the previous media or to the next one. Also super helpful for navigating the timeline. All right.
That's correct. Ted was asking real quick, how to correct when audio gets off from the video. So maybe showing separation.
Great call on that one. Yeah, separation is your friend. So let's say that maybe sometimes if I'm like recording my webcam here and my voice, they may get a little bit out of sync. Okay. Also, one of the reasons why it's really valuable to go like that when you make a mistake, or even at the beginning of the recording, because then you can use that spike to synchronize the video as well as the audio. So with that in mind, once I get it, I go into right click and I choose, where is it? Separate audio from video. JV, I'm missing it.
That might just be audio.
Oh, that's right, because it was just audio.
Can't separate audio from nothing, Troy.
Sorry, dumber than a bag of hammers. Okay, right click onto a video that actually has audio. I will right click, and there is an option for separate the audio and the video. And that means now, and especially it's valuable. By the way, I haven't mentioned this. This tool up here allows me to zoom in on the timeline. And so I can get kind of fine grained, and it may be that I'm only off a little bit, and all I need to do is I just need to move my audio down like just a couple frames. And that's how you make that adjustment.
I would say last, but certainly not least for Steve. He wanted you to explain one more time, as slowly as and fully as you can, what needs to be done to get the Control A, your keyboard shortcut, to apply an animation. Like, where does your playhead need to be in relation to where the animation is going to happen?
Right.
My guess, he wasn't able to get it to work, and my only guess is that he may not have had the media selected.
Got it.
Before trying the keyboard shortcut.
So in the media bin over here is all the things that have been in my project. And I'm going to take that original recording. I'll bring it down. I'm starting from scratch. And let's say I want to have an animation show up as soon as this little box down here shows up on the screen. So that's what I want. I'm going to zoom in because this box is important at this time. With my playhead right to the point in the video that I want to add, I do have to click on the video itself. So it's selected. I get the orange outline around it. And then I hit Shift A, right? And then from there, I can scale up that recording to a new dimension. And I grab the center anchor, and I'm able to bring it up. So there we go. And as I mentioned before, if it's later on, let's say it's not selected, I do have to if I want to change it later, I do have to click on the media and then click on the animation. And from here, I can either drag it out or move it around. Cool. Are there any other questions that maybe, not that. Are there any other questions that maybe we haven't answered yet that you all would like to have answered?
Gotcha. I think we're covered with what we got. I think we're ready to ask your last question there.
All right. All right. Let's go slideshow mode back on to using your phone. My question for you in this last bit is, what 3 words would describe today's webinar? It looks like someone's already added. Thank you very much for that. 3 words. Cool. Great quick start. That's what we're hoping for. Thank you all for joining us today. This has been super helpful. I appreciate JV being here, Jason, JV, to his friends. Yeah, we are grateful to always have his expertise. Is awesome in the chat and in person.
Happy to be here. Happy to help. Cool. Everybody was very engaged. Really good questions. Very on point questions. Just to let you know, and Troy will show this here in just a second, you will receive an email with the links that we shared, as well as a recording for today's session. Be aware that if you go to techsmith.com/webinars, we offer monthly webinars, everything from getting started. Yeah. So this at a slightly deeper level, and specific webinars. And if you're looking for content and we don't have it, let us know, because we're in the middle of developing webinars for the balance of the year. And we'd love to know what kind of things you might want to learn about. In fact, Troy, would you be willing to pull up that webinar page? People are now asking about that.
Yeah.
Just techsmith.com/webinars. We offer webinars on Camtasia, Snagit. We're going to be offering them on Audiate as well. These are the ones that are up right now. So we have a getting started in August. We've got a getting started with Snagit next week, and a couple more that we've just released as of yesterday. The Snagit plus Camtasia working together. Which will be
JV,
fun.
I just realized we should probably show them Ryan's Camtasia 5-day challenge.
Yes.
If you haven't done it, so we gave you the basics today. But if you're the kind of person that needs some regular reinforcement, some regular teaching, Ryan is a great teacher on Camtasia. You can sign up and take the 5-day challenge. Just do a search on Camtasia 5-day challenge, or actually, I guess I can put it into the chat, can't I?
I will put the sign up link in the chat
perfect.
for them,
All right.
Which will give you so the best thing about it, it is over 5 days, but you're not bound by those 5 days. You'll just get consecutive 5 days of emails. You can do them at your own pace. Everyone who's taken it, and I feel safe saying that, is really happy with it. They had a lot of fun. We're constantly making adjustments to that as well. So that should be in the chat, all about the Camtasia Challenge series.
Cool. So the recording is what JV is going to be sending out. Also a document that covers everything that we did here today as a reference point. If you are rolling out Camtasia to your entire organization, feel free to reach out to me at customersuccess@techsmith.com. We customize Camtasia for broader groups and help with the training. So with that, JV, I think this is it, man.
I think so too. Appreciate everybody's time and engagement. Hope this was helpful to you. Thanks, Troy, for being a tremendous leader throughout this process.
You're kind. Thanks for making this happen, guys. Welcome. Thank you all for being our customers. Thank you for making this part of your day, and we wish you the very best.